Character building in movies. Now, listen, man. I think, in my opinion, the character building of I'm going to the MCU, Captain America
Hmm.
and Iron Man, I think is some of the best character building in cinema history. And I
Yeah.
don't think that gets the praise that it does in cinema of the character building. Now, listen, a storyteller, I don't know nothing about storyteller and directing a movie or whatnot, but I'm assuming it's hard to, in a 2 hour movie, just say 2 hour movie, you have to introduce us to a character. You have to
Hmm.
build that character and immediately make him relatable or like or her relatable, likable, whatever. So you're already invested in the character. Tell us a story or this journey that this character's going through. And by the end of that movie, whether the character lives, dies, happy ending, whatever it is, you want to feel some sort of emotion towards that character. You want to feel like you built that character so well that I feel emotion towards this character, whatever happened. Scarface comes to mind, which I think is a great
Hmm.
example, right? Here's an example of a character that they introduced us to. He's a bad guy. This is fact. He's a bad guy. But they built his character so well where in some crazy way he is relatable. To this day, people imitate the way he talks. People talk about Scarface. They built him up in this movie. They showed his journey. They show how he made it from just being a political refugee from Cuba to the end where he gets killed. And he was a bad guy, but you were almost in some ways rooting for him because he was so freaking cool,
Hmm.
right? So they done a great job there. But I wanted to touch on Captain America and even Iron Man. They done a great after with 10 years. I think they done an amazing job to build up those characters up to the point when
Yeah,
Endgames
yeah, of course.
happened. Man, I am not ready. I was not ready to let those
To let
characters
them go. Yeah,
go.
no, definitely. Definitely, definitely. Because we got so attached to them because it gave them time to breathe. And I think that's where the MCU kind of suffered this time around because they didn't give characters time to breathe. But listen, they had the time, they had those challenges that they can do that stuff, you know what I mean? And like Ash put that video up and I watched it like 3 or 4 times, bro. I got emotional. The soundtrack was good and the way they put it together. You just, you know, when he talks about moving on and not even listening to himself about moving on, you know, my guy went back in time to live a bit of what Tony got. You know what I mean? I love that, bro. I love that. Love that. A Man Out of Time, bro. Absolutely beautiful story, beautiful character. I think Chris Evans absolutely smashed it. I'm glad he did the role. Uh, and the same thing with Robert Downey. You know, I've been watching a lot of his interviews recently because he's going around. He's been winning quite a lot of awards. But that interview with him and Mark Ruffalo, man, two creative friends bouncing off each other, great energy and praising each other, and you know, talking about the hardships and things like that. It's like watching us talk, watching best friends talk. You know, when we sit there and we laugh about shit. You know, it was amazing to see that sort of relationship. So no, good on them, man. Great characters, bro. Great characters. I miss them. I actually genuinely miss seeing them on the screen and seeing them in
I
What
do.
If. The resemblance is good, but yeah, moving forward, yeah, definitely, I do miss them as characters.
Definitely, man. I think in the whole MCU, I have to say those two are the best character buildings throughout the whole MCU series. I think Thor had a good one, but I think it's kind of slipped. I think there's a lot more potential with Hulk, but it's going to be iffy. But those two specifically have been amazing. Right now, the character building that I'm loving, I have to say, especially because it's now canon, is Kingpin, in my opinion. But I just
Hmm.
wanted to touch on that. I just wanted to touch on character building in movies, and I did want to give a shout out to Captain America, Chris Evans, and Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU. And of course, there's millions of movies out there where character building has been amazing. You know, Last Samurai and Scarface and loads of
Hmm.
other ones, right? So I'm not discouraging them. I just wanted to give a shout out to them. And obviously, these days, with the TV shows, you're able to give so much more character building within TV shows. You have a longer platform to do that. So it's so important, and I can imagine how hard it is in the movie. But you know, shout outs to character building and story writers and whatnot to make that connection between us.